How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Beared Down podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. The reason I say podcast, this is episode 121 of Uncut, but we are going to be uploading Uncuts to Spotify and Apple Podcasts now. So welcome back to another episode of Uncut. For those of you new listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, it's a series we do a ton. Basically, it's just uncut audio, uncut video, talking about certain topics in the NFL. So let's hop right into it. Today, in episode number 121, we are going to be talking about some very important news out of Chicago as well as out of Houston, Texas. Deshaun Watson yesterday morning requested officially a trade from the Houston Texans, saying that he will waive his no trade clause. Later on in the early afternoon, Ian Rappaport had reported that the Bears were one of the couple teams that had already reached out to the Houston Texans and will make a strong push at Watson. So today we're going to be discussing what's on the table for the Bears in this trade, in the realisticness, if that's a word, of it happening or not. So let's hop right into it. I am your host, Chris Malpe. How is it going, guys? Feels good to be back. I am joined with me to the right of me by my co-hosts Parth and Jaylen McClinton. Jaylen rocking the new webcam, looking very good. But how's it going, guys?
Doing pretty good. It's been a while since since it's been us three recording. So excited to get getting back together and start recording more videos, I guess.
All right, so now that I see my camera and see both of you guys, this camera's way better. I guess it's too clear. Bro, I don't like that. But we're trying to up the quality, of course. We've been doing this for a very long time. We got new mics a couple months ago. Now we have new cameras, so the quality's gonna get better from here on. But let's talk some Bears football, especially one of our biggest positions coming into this offseason, and in the quarterback. So definitely gonna be interesting.
Yeah, we are trying to up the quality for sure. Parth and I have those new webcams coming in later this week. So the quality will keep getting better on YouTube, and hopefully it sounds good on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because we're definitely putting a lot into this. But today we're here to talk about Deshaun Watson. Obviously, yesterday it was reported by Ian Rappaport that the Bears will make, quote, a strong push at Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson this offseason. It was also reported per rap sheet that the Bears have already called the Texans regarding a trade for star quarterback Deshaun Watson. Obviously, we know the Bears passed up on Watson in 2017, but what a year he's had, and these sort of players don't normally become available in certain instances. Watson in 2020, 4,823 passing yards. That led the league 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a league best passer rating of 112.4 throughout his career. He has averaged a passer rating of 104.5, 104 career touchdowns, 36 career interceptions. So he has been quite the player, but stuck down there in Houston. They haven't really given him help. Obviously traded away DeAndre Hopkins, really haven't given him a great offensive line throughout his time in Houston. So I want to start with you, Parth. It seems like the Bears are going to make a strong push here. Jay Glazer a couple days ago reported that the Bears were going to make a strong push to get a very good quarterback this offseason. It's something we've heard in the past, but this offseason really does present opportunities that we haven't seen in the past. So do you think that the Bears should go completely all out, balls to the wall for Watson?
Yeah, why not? This guy would be the best quarterback the Bears would have ever as soon as he'd step onto the team. I'd be super excited to have Deshaun Watson on the Bears. Again, we could have had the chance in 2017, but we passed up on him. Hopefully, he's excited to come here to Chicago. I think he would be. We all know how much we would appreciate a good quarterback. We all like Deshaun Watson. I have no hatred towards him. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback, and I'd love him on the Bears. So I think the Bears should go all out. If that involves 3 first-round picks, which I think that
plus more. Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport yesterday were saying that it seems like if Houston will listen to trade offers, their starting bid is going to be 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, so I do not mind giving up 3 first-round picks. I'm just going to put that out there again. I think a quarterback like him is worth more than 3 first-round picks. And, I think we could easily put out the best offer just because of how good of our players are, like Kyle Fuller Akeem Hicks, even Khalil Mack, if you look to put him out there as well.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit later about what's on the table and what's off the table, if we think anything's going to be off the table. But, we see the Texans hire new head coach David Culley, someone who's worked with Andy Reid throughout his time, as well as John Harbaugh with the Ravens. So, it presents an interesting situation for Watson, but it seems like his problems in Houston are rooted higher than the head coach. It seems like he has a problem with Cal McNair making promises that he's going to help him throughout his time in Houston, involve him in the new head coach and GM search, to which he wasn't involved at all. Obviously, there were reports that Watson wanted Eric Bieniemy very badly to be the next head coaching hire for the Texans, and Watson has really been done dirty by the Texans. Yesterday on the Waddle and Sylvie show, Adam Schefter was on. Ironically, that was just a scheduled guest, but no better perfect time for that. And he said that he thinks that Watson wouldn't rule out the Bears. He won't take precedent from 2017 and how the Bears passed up on him and didn't really give him the time of day. He just wants to be in a better situation where he's treated better. Watson, obviously a leader, but if I'm the Bears, I'm going all out for Watson. I think, and Max Kellerman said this a couple of weeks ago, he would be immortalized in Chicago if he could bring the Bears a Super Bowl title. I think whatever the Bears offer up to get him would be worth it. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league, I believe only 25 or 26 years old. Players like this don't become available too often. So if you're the Bears, I think you have to at least see what Houston is asking, in my opinion, and we'll get onto this more later. You have to say, what do you want? And you have to give what they want to them if you want Watson, because obviously, there's going to be some teams offering higher picks, possibly picks 2 through 5. But, the Bears do have a lot of touted players on defense, somewhere Houston has struggled in the past. So I think the Bears can be competitive in offers, even though they don't have that high pick. And you also have to consider maybe trading up for a higher pick and then offering that to Houston. So there's a lot of ways you can go with this. We'll get a little bit more into the aspects of the trade yesterday. But, Jaylen, I want to ask you, first and foremost, are you surprised that the Bears are in on Watson? And do you think that they should go all out for him?
I would be upset if we weren't all in on Watson. We obviously are looking for a quarterback position. Jay Glazer said that's something we're going to pursue heavily in this offseason, whether it's free agency or via trade or even the draft. So no, I'm not surprised that we're all in on a star quarterback like Deshaun Watson. Sadly, we could have had him and not been in this position at all. But once again, I don't like to go back on that because one, I'm not even mad we took Mitchell Trubisky, but. No, I'm not surprised. And do I think we go all in? Possibly. I know we're going to talk about this later in the podcast, but I'm definitely not against us trying to go for him, because if we bring him in, even though we're probably going to have to give up a lot of assets, maybe a couple players. If you build around him, he can obviously lead us to winning games and potentially Super Bowl. So no, I'm not mad at all that we're trying to pursue him heavily.
Yeah, and it should be interesting to see what Watson wants to do, because it doesn't seem like his request for a trade is going to change based on the new head coaching hire and whatever Houston does this offseason. It seems like Houston's going to wait it out and see how this one plays out. But let's talk a little bit about what the Bears could end up offering. We're not going to talk about what specifically we would offer yet, but let's talk about what can be on and off the table for the Bears. Obviously, there's a lot of high-paid young players on the Bears that you would hope that they wouldn't trade, but they may be on the table depending on what Houston looks for. Guys like Roquan Smith, Jaylen Johnson, Cole Kmet, Khalil Mack, Allen Robinson if they wanted him down there, Kyle Fuller, Akeem Hicks, Eddie Jackson. So there's a lot of pieces that the Bears could possibly give up in this trade that could make it a lot more appealing for Houston. But Parth, I want to ask you, do you think anything is off the table in a trade for Deshaun Watson here? And if so, what?
No, I don't think so. I'd be willing to give up any one of those players with the 3 first-round picks, I think.
And possibly even more.
Maybe even more, you think?
My offer, in my opinion, I'm probably even going to give up more.
Yeah, maybe, you do like Kmet. I was thinking like
I think they'll probably want someone on defense. Maybe that's just and also it just makes sense for the Bears to dump one of those defensive contracts.
I think Fuller goes for sure if it's in the trade. I think the 3 first-round picks. But I don't think anything's off the table for a quarterback like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I got to go ahead and agree with you. I said it earlier. Watson will be immortalized here, and I think he's going to be the best quarterback in exactly what the Bears would need. Matt Nagy, obviously, when doing his homework in Kansas City in 2017, was a big fan of Watson. He was also a big fan of Trubisky, but we've seen him talk highly about Watson a couple of weeks ago in Week 14, obviously, when the Bears faced the Houston Texans. So, you know what? I think the only thing that I would put off the table in a trade is Khalil Mack. A lot of people have been disappointed in Khalil Mack's play recently, saying he's not doing enough, but I think he's the X factor of this defense at the end of the day. He's the biggest piece of this defense. While the Bears are paying him a lot, I still think it's worth keeping him around. I would definitely keep him around over a Roquan Smith and Eddie Jackson or something, as tough as that is for me to say. Khalil Mack is an absolute beast. He's a game wrecker. He had some good games this season. Robert Quinn really didn't serve him justice. But I would say Khalil Mack's the only thing off the table, in my opinion. As tough as it would be to see, as you mentioned, Kyle Fuller, Keem Hicks, Eddie Jackson, Roquan Smith, those guys possibly being offered up. I just think Mack needs to stay here. And then obviously, I think the younger guys as well, it would be nice to keep them. It depends on what Houston wants, but I would love to keep around guys like Darnell Mooney, Jaylen Johnson, Cole Kmet as well. But I think most anything would be worth it to acquire Watson here. So Jaylen, I know you have a little bit of a differing opinion than Parth and I. Obviously, Parth thinks everything's on the table. I think everything but Khalil Mack for the most part on the table. So do you think anything is off the table in the Bears' trade offers for Watson, and if so, who?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's a couple players that we cannot trade. Like you said, Khalil Mack, he's our best player on this team. He might not be our best defensive player this year. That goes to Roquan, but he's still our best player by far. He was All Pro this year, had 9.5 sacks. He's been very good for us since we traded for him. I definitely don't regret trading those 2 first-round picks for Khalil Mack. Obviously,
I'm sure we definitely wouldn't regret trading for Deshaun Watson if he ended up here too.
I know we haven't had playoff success, but he's done all he could for us to help us win. So he's definitely off the table for me. And also I would say Roquan. Roquan has potential to be a defensive player of the year. He had a very good season. I definitely feel like he's still underrated. When it comes to his ranking in linebackers in the NFL, I think he's one of the best. Obviously, people in the NFL don't look that as for him. He wasn't an All Pro this year. He wasn't even a Pro Bowler, but the numbers should show alone how good he's been. So obviously those 2 are off the table for me, and then everybody else is is on. Like I said, I would obviously want to keep the younger guys, like I said, Darnell, Jaylen Johnson, who both had very good seasons for us. Cole Kmet, somebody as well, and David Montgomery. I know he's a running back, and running backs are easily replaceable, but for right now, he's our best.
I wouldn't think that Houston would need a running back just with them
having
David
Johnson, and David Johnson did not have a very good season last year. So I think they would rather much have David Montgomery over David Johnson in this point of their careers. So, but I would definitely obviously want to keep those guys around, but only pick 2 real people on this team that's off the table for me is Roquan and Khalil.
Okay. Let's talk. I mean, obviously, I'm sure as things unfold, it seems like there's going to be a standoff in Houston because obviously the Texans want him, but it is confirmed that Watson has requested a trade, so we'll see if anything happens there. For all we know, Houston could end up retaining Watson, and there could be a standoff-like thing happen. So this could take a while, but I'm sure moving forward as Houston hopefully starts to listen to offers, we'll find out exactly what they want in a trade. If they want wide receivers, if they want a star defensive player, whatever they want. Let's just give it a little bit of a ballpark right now. But Parth, I'm going to start with you right now. Assuming that Houston's baseline, as Ian Rappaport said yesterday, is 3 first-round picks, what would you be willing to offer to the Houston Texans for Deshaun Watson?
Probably 3 first-round picks, that's for sure. And then I'd add like a player like Kyle Fuller, maybe Keem Hicks, maybe Eddie Jackson. I'd try not to give up Khalil Mack or Roquan Smith, but if it did come down to that, I would not mind. And then if it involves another player or like a 6th-round pick, I wouldn't mind either.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say I'd offer the 3 first-round picks. I want to be aggressive. I think a lot of these other teams are going to have a lot to offer. because Houston obviously if they're trading with other teams in the NFC, which it seems like they would prefer to do, Carolina could offer them Teddy Bridgewater in a trade, and the Bears don't have a young quarterback or a pick high enough for Houston to get a young quarterback. So if it were me personally, as crazy or not as this sounds, I'm going to offer 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and then one of those players that you mentioned, a marquee name. So give them those 3 first-round picks as well as a second and a fourth, and maybe I would really prefer the player to be Kyle Fuller or Akeem Hicks. They're both heading into contract years, and the Bears could save $10 million from dumping one of them. So I think that makes sense, and I think that's a pretty darn good offer at this point, offering them 5 picks as well as a marquee name. I think that's going to be hard to turn down, and I think that definitely would be up there competing with some of the other teams' offers. And at the end of the day, Watson's the one with the no trade clause. So if Chicago comes in and Houston says, we'd prefer to take the Jets offer, we'd prefer to take the Patriots offer, we'd prefer to take the Washington football team's offer, and he says, I like what Chicago's doing, they could be forced to take our offer and send them here. So I think you have to give a highly competitive offer. So my offer is going to be 3 firsts, a second, a fourth, and let's go with Kyle Fuller because Parth said that as well. So Jaylen, I'm going to pass it around to you. I think your offer might be a little bit less than mine and closer to similar to Parth. But if Houston's baseline is 3 first-round picks, what are you giving up for Watson as well as those picks?
You said if the we have to give up 3 first-round picks to even be considered.
Yeah, because it seems like depending on what Rappaport. I mean, would you even do the trade at that point?
Well, 3 first-round picks, no. I know it's a star quarterback. He's a Pro Bowl type quarterback. He can win you games, but 3 first-round picks is a lot. You've seen us give up 2 first-round picks for Khalil Mack, and one year we made the playoffs, and the second year, we ended up 8-8, and they got a top 20 pick. So when it comes to that, it's kind of iffy for me. I'd rather give up 2 and then throw in some
in our defense, the Raiders picked him on Arnetti.
Yeah, but and Houston, I don't know, but still, we're still giving up first-round picks when obviously we're not in the type of area to give up multiple first-round picks in a year. In back-to-back years, we're not a good enough team to say, we don't need a first-round pick. We don't need any players to make this team better, because obviously we do still have a lot of holes in this team. So I wouldn't give up 3. I would do I would do the type of deal that we give up for Khalil Mack, maybe even more. I would give up 2 first-round picks, maybe some seconds and some thirds, and like you said, player like a Khalil.
Okay, well that makes more sense than if you want to do 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, a third-rounder, and a player. That also adds up to decent draft capital.
I would do that, but not 3 first-round picks. Though. I can't do it.
All right. Well, guys, if you're listening right now, do us a favor. Leave down in the comments whether or not you want the Bears to trade for Watson and what you would offer to the Houston Texans to try and intrigue them in a trade. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, once again, the Uncut series is going to be coming to you guys every episode now on. So hopefully we're going to be now getting up stuff on Spotify and Apple Podcasts each and every day. So be sure to look out for that as well. But that's pretty much for us, guys. If you want more content from us, head over to our website, bearddown.com. We're posting columns, articles, and blogs, getting you guys ready with our off-season content. And Deshaun Watson is definitely going to be discussed on the website all off-season. If you would like to find the podcast on social media, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Beared Down. We're doing a giveaway in the month of February, so a couple of weeks away. We're definitely going to give away something pretty cool for you guys, so be sure to look out for that. And finally, you can find the links to all of our social media down in the description, our Instagram and Twitter pages. It's a great way to interact with us, see our thoughts on all professional sports, all other NFL teams. And you guys can also always reach out to us and give us advice on what you want to see, because we definitely want to post videos that you guys want. But Parth, Jaylen McQuinton, this seems like this is going to be an NFL offseason like no other. A 25, 26-year-old Deshaun Watson, top 5 quarterback in the league, being dealt something that's never really happened before. Seems like it's suiting up to be one of the biggest trades, if not the biggest trade in NFL history. And hopefully the Bears will be right in the midst of it. We'll see if Ryan Pace can right his 2017 wrong. But any last words before we close this one out, guys?
Yeah, I'm hoping the Bears can solve their problems by just getting Deshaun Watson. I think that would definitely solve all the quarterback problems we've had.
Yeah.
Bear down. I don't know. It's gonna be a long off season. At least the draft is in 3 months. So
Yeah, and it's only the end of January, and we've already got a lot of drama going on, but there's going to be so much to discuss. We're going to be posting videos and obviously also the audio to Spotify and Apple Podcasts every day of the week, so be sure to subscribe and follow no matter what platform you're listening on. But, guys, it's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. Bears fans, as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.